Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono. It's May 18th, 2024. I have Eli back with me, and I'd like to thank Rob for filling in last week. We had good viewership. It was really good. Eli's going to be joining us in a moment, and there is a lot to talk about in sports this week. So we'll jump right in. Of course, our sponsor, Coriano Trucking, is our sponsor for the Mono-Logue, so the Mono-Logue this week is the NFL schedules came out, right? So that's a big thing. Everybody looks at, who their team is and who they play, and then they could book road trips or whatever. Giants are going to be playing in Germany, of all places. So, the NFL's banking on this Aaron Rodgers again. So they got 6 primetime games. However, something we've talked about a bunch of times is we're going to have to start paying for this stuff because Netflix is bidding and Amazon. So going toward where we expect it to be. Hey, and these are going to be games that are like on Thanksgiving. You may have to pay for these games now because Netflix doesn't have the production capabilities to do it. So they're going to buy the rights from NBC or ABC or whoever, ESPN, and broadcast it live on Netflix. So just be prepared. It's something we talked about that was coming, and it's coming. So Eli joins us now, and I know his Seahawks. Eli, what'd you think about your Seahawks schedule?
Well, there's
What's
a
it look
lot
like
to
for you guys?
just digest here with all the comments and everything. I mean, with everything that happened, we'll start off with the Netflix situation first, and then I'll get to the Giants, Jets, and then Seattle. Netflix has already secured the deal with the NFL. They will get 2 Christmas Day games this year, one at 1 o'clock, and then another one at 4:30. The matchup for those games will be, I
Yep.
believe, the Texans versus Ravens, and they will also get at 1 o'clock Chiefs at the Steelers. So those are your 2 matchups there for Netflix. They were paying exactly $75 million each game through 2026. They'll get at least one holiday game. And for a total NFL package, if you get Peacock, Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube TV, and ESPN Plus, an average fan will typically pay $850 a season. Now, that's pretty insane here. But I will say I would love to see the announcers group for Netflix because I like what they have to offer. I don't know who their announcer is going to be. They might start their own production truck. I don't know. Because if you do remember, they are going to be carrying, if I'm not mistaken, the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, which is happening, I believe, this summer. They also been covering some other games as well. They covered the roast of Tom Brady. They've also done quite a few other events, non NFL related, but is trying to grow its sports program industry pretty big and hugely. So I cannot wait to see what happens
Are
in
you
that
having
degree.
technical issues? Yeah.
Um, yeah, and for the New York Giants side of things, the Giants, they got a Germany game, but they're the Giants. I do not expect them to go be this number 1 team that's going to go far. They have a rough schedule to start, but a decent schedule, but it all depends on how the quarterback acts and how it plays out for them. When it comes to the Jets, too many primetime
Yep.
games. 6
Yep.
primetime games. We don't even know how Aaron Rodgers is going to play yet. We have not seen. We saw him for 4 plays. You gave him 6 primetime games. What if he breaks his other Achilles in 4 plays in San Francisco? And out of all the matchups, you gave Aaron Rodgers the New York Jets, the San Francisco 49ers. That blows my mind 100%. The NFL really gone too far in terms of that matter.
I agree.
And
I
yeah,
agree 100% because, like I said, the NFL is banking on Aaron Rodgers being this 40-year-old phenom that's going to lead the Jets to the promised land. I've said this all along. He's not going to win a Super Bowl with the New York Jets. So I'm steadfast in that. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot going on. Giants, and the thing you brought up before, Eli, is these Christmas games. So I think Christmas is on a Wednesday this year.
yes,
So
the
that's
NFL,
also going to be a first for the NFL.
right. It's the first NFL, and it's going to continue on. They will make sure one Christmas game is going to be played on Christmas each year. But there is, some smart decision that the NFL did. Why Netflix? Well, if you think about it, the NBA Christmas games are always on ABC and ESPN. Netflix is a streaming service. So now it makes the viewer, hard to switch the channel to go from your streaming service to now going to ABC and ESPN to watch NBA games. So it's more entitled for you to click on the NFL game because it's more intriguing to watch. And you won't want to switch the channel because you got to do multiple steps before you can get to ABC and ESPN for those NBA games.
Yep, that's
so the
exactly
NBA
what
and NFL is genius for putting it on Netflix. And it's all about the Benjamin, as we stress enough on the show.
We did. Yeah, so let's just see how it all pans out, see how much money the NFL is going to reach into our pockets and take out. But
$850 to be exact.
A very valid point because I brought this up too. Right, but if you look at it, you're right. A streaming, the benefit of a remote control is to watch multiple games at the same time, during commercial breaks, and it's a little bit different when you got to go out of a streaming service back into regular television. I just don't.
Unless you have multiple TVs, which God bless you, then
yeah,
it's a whole different argument.
You got it. So Eli, there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about.
Before we move on, we have a comment from Andrew. Good morning, guys, and good morning to you. And for anybody who's watching, feel free to comment. Let us know your thoughts about anything we talk about. You want to rant about the NFL schedule? Be my guest. Please feel free to comment or send us an email at sportsmono@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andrew. That's what I call a loyal listener right there. So listen, Eli, there's a bunch of stuff going on today, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But, first I want to bring up the fact that today is the second leg of the Triple Crown. So the Preakness is being run down in Pimlico in Maryland today. It's almost a completely different field. Only a couple horses that ran in the Derby. Obviously, the winner, Mystic Dan. So
he'll be there.
You have to consider him the favorite, of course.
No
but
question.
I have two other horses that I'm going to throw out there. I like two Tuscan Gold, and I like Uncle Heavy. So we're going to find out today whether or not we're going to have a Triple Crown race up at Saratoga of all places.
That's right, because it's no longer Belmont for construction. That's correct. My thoughts real quick on this. My pick is going to be Imagination. However, I have a feeling that Mystic Dan is going to pull strong and maybe try to win that Triple Crown or compete for that Triple Crown. I will not be surprised that he does pull off a victory there. But for my pick, I'm taking Imagination. But I would not be surprised Mystic Dan takes victory here tonight. It starts today at 1:30 to 4:30 on CNBC, and then moves to NBC from 4:30 to 7:30. So that's your coverage for Preakness today.
Yep. When you mentioned, I was doing my analysis, and I liked Imagination too for a little bit, and then I did a little bit of research on him. So that was going to be one of my original picks, but I crossed him off the board. So it's going to be I think Mystic Dan. I don't know that he's this. Yeah, we'll see. But
listen. If you look at Mystic Dan, you can't discuss what happened in Kentucky Derby because it was a three-way photo finish. That was one of by far the best derbies or anything you could have watched this year. They were saying, "Wow, three-way tie." Mystic Dan. He was a nail biter one. That's what you can't always go by that because he may not exactly pull off the victory that you want Mystic Dan to win. Again, it was a nail biter finish. It was three horses that could have won, and Mystic Dan happened to be the one who stuck his nose out to win.
Yep. So that's interesting. And that I like the whole Triple Crown.
Yes. But is Mystic Dan the favorite to win? Will he be what we think he is? Was that three-way photo finish at the Kentucky Derby worthy? Those are all questions and all discussions that we will have for next week's show. So don't forget to tune in.
Yep. And again, so we will find out because that would be something else. If Mystic Dan wins this race and then he goes for the triple crown at Saratoga this year, which would not be 1.5 miles, which is always what separates Triple Crown winners from not Triple Crown winners, as we've seen California
Absolutely, no
Chrome
question.
in days past, couple different times. So enjoy the race, and yes, another big sporting event, and you and I kind of touched on it. The crazy happenings before Friday's round yesterday with Scotty Scheffler. But let's first lay the
situation
field
out.
out. Yeah, and there was an accident, one of the shuttle buses, and a pedestrian was killed. That's why the police presence was there. And Scotty, and listen, this is not his type of thing. He's not a rebel. He's everybody that says the guy's a great guy, nice guy. So I don't know the circumstances yet about what really transpired, but he was put in handcuffs. He will be arraigned on Tuesday. And the strange thing about this whole thing is that he came out yesterday without really much practice at the driving range and shot a 66. So he's heavily in the mix there. I wish we did our picks last week, which I didn't do. But from full disclosure, I'm going to give a couple that I figured were going to be in the mix. And obviously, Scotty and Rory, right now would probably be considered the favorites. But I also like Brooks Koepka and his, I don't like the fact that he went to Live Golf, but he does play big in majors. So
Absolutely.
And I also, and as you know, Eli, this guy is one of my favorite up and coming guys is Colin Morikawa. So he's up on the leaderboard as well. And we'll find out. Today is what they call moving day in a golf major. So Tiger Woods, of course, didn't make the cut again. We can starting to see the deterioration or the inability to overcome this. Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to give my thoughts real quick on Scotty Scheffler. So fantastic job, number one, to ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who covered the story from the beginning, the inside video clips. That was absolutely phenomenal what he did. I think that by the way, deserves an Emmy right there. I mean, he made sure he was in it for every single moment. My thoughts and prayers, of course, to the family of the incident, of the death that occurred here. But from what I scoped out from ESPN's Get Up and from Jeff Darlington's report, they were just trying to get to the Gulf and the game. He didn't know the situation was happening, and he tried to get through traffic. That was basically the bottom line. They said he was trying to ride the shoulder area and disagreed with and did not follow the officer's orders. And that's when they made the arrest at 6:01 a.m. He was charged with second-degree assault of an officer. He was charged with the felony charge, third-degree criminal mischief, and reckless driving and disobeying traffic signals from officers. That was the full charges against Scotty Scheffler. Here's my thoughts on it. Good job by the officers. And you know why? Because it goes to show you they don't favor $1 million winner, the best player in the United States of America, and disagree and disobey a regular poor person, a regular average person like me and you. You know what I'm saying? So I give you credit absolutely to those officers for making the right call. That was the right decision what they did. Scotty Scheffler was quickly released. He did play the game beautifully, as you mentioned yesterday. But again, fantastic work by the officers. Great job by ESPN's Jeff Darlington. A rough situation. And Scotty needs to follow the rules. And who cares about the golf match? When you see traffic in front of you, you got to wait. Do not disagree with officers' orders. And that's the bottom line.
I can't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all because, there was a situation that required, medical attention and police presence. And you're right. And the reason Jeff Darlington basically had that scoop is because he was literally
in the traffic
away but he was 5 feet away from Scotty Scheffler. So he saw all this stuff firsthand. So
and he asked Scotty Scheffler for help. Scotty Scheffler asked him for help. He goes to him, "Can you help me?" And that's when he began to do his media stuff. And then the officers later asked him the situation, "Who did we just arrest?" They asked that to Jeff Darlington, and where he approached that it is Scotty Scheffler. So it was just a wild situation. Kudos to the officers, though. That's all I got to say. Kudos to the officers.
Yeah, and it was just a momentary lapse of common sense and judgment on Scotty's part. And
Like I said,
Like
if
I
you see
said,
traffic, even if you don't know the situation, you hold on and wait. You don't
yep,
argue you with an officer, and you don't try to cut traffic off just because you're trying to become the next greatest golfer, such as Tiger Woods of the United States of America.
I think he's going to regret his actions. It was just caught up in the moment, but he's going to have to answer for this. So, but
Absolutely.
anyway, third round of the PGA today, getting off to a slow start. There's a fog delay. Been
Right.
some wet weather there. And again, I don't even know what the weather is going to be like today in Pimlico, which of course, where the Preakness is being held, because the whole East Coast has been, getting hit with a lot of rain and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, it's rain and
weather,
up and down weather.
yeah, weather's going to
And
play a factor in both of those.
Texas, I feel bad for them. 80-mile-per-hour winds they just had. I mean, the weather's
Oh
been
God,
lately.
yeah, Houston in particular. I mean,
You saw those winds. I saw yesterday on X, formerly Twitter, that the wind. They were in a restaurant. People were just standing there watching everything fly like crazy. It was pretty
yeah,
insane.
I
It's
know. Mother Nature, Mother Nature.
at its finest.
All right, Eli, let's move on to the NHL. And my
Oh,
Rangers are making to the cup swing.
I'm gonna start
Hey,
with that first.
listen, you got to give them credit. They came back and got it done, and
How do you?
they're
How I
moving
want to start
on.
with Carolina. How do you give up a 3-1 lead and lose the game? I don't understand. It blows my mind how they did that. You saw that incredible save there. The exact name was Jordan Martin Cook with that incredible save in that Carolina game. If you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. Literally inches, a stick took the puck out of play. Ridiculous. How do you blow the lead? It blows my mind what I saw. The Carolina Hurricanes ended their season just as young Sheldon ended its run on CBS.
I, I wouldn't be able to tell you about that, but listen, I know you're a Devils fan, but
Go Florida.
we try to promote impartiality here and give the Rangers credit. They held on, they came back, and now they're moving on to the Florida Panthers, who are a really, really good team. It's going to be a great conference final.
I
Again,
said
a
to
little
Bobby yesterday.
surprising that the Boston Bruins yet again they got this great team and they just can't get out of their own way in the playoffs, kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs, who by the way hired Craig Berube to be the head coach, and he's a Stanley Cup winning coach for the St. Louis Blues back in 2019. So
I said to Bobby yesterday while covering the baseball game, which resulted in a 3-2 win for St. Mary's. I said if the Boston Bruins make it to the next round to play the New York Rangers, I was going to buy a jersey if they were to beat the Rangers. I was that determined just because I don't want to see the Rangers win and go to the Stanley Cup final. I said I was determined.
okay,
But
you got to
Boston
put
now
that
win.
aside.
Florida won. Congrats to Florida. They did fantastic, and they are going to beat the New York Rangers, and they're going to play in the next round of the Stanley Cup final, which we're still waiting for a winner, by the way. We're still waiting to see what happens between the Oilers and Canucks. Game 6 tonight, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Stars won and beat the Avalanche last night in double overtime, 2-1. Fantastic closure there. So it's going to be a great Western Conference to see there. The Florida-New York game begins Wednesday, 8 p.m. ESPN. Sunday's game on ABC. The West Series will be on TNT. Time and date to be determined based off of what happens tonight with Canucks Oilers. Game 7 will be Monday if necessary.
Yeah, and that was kind of a surprise to me because I mean the Avalanche are a great team. They got McKinnon who's one of the top players in the league, and that was a surprise to me. But don't underestimate the Stars. So I'm thinking that Edmonton's going to win Game 6, force a Game 7.
I think so too. It'll be an
Because,
overtime winner.
And to be honest, we kind of want that because we want to see on a national level this kind of player that Connor McDavid is to
Absolutely.
the league and Draisaitl.
The story
so
too. You got to remember the storyline, Jim. Look at the storyline all season. The Oilers, this number one team, so dominant. Connor McDavid at its finest level, a whole new Oilers team. This is like the olden days when they were once good and continued to stress and continue on. So I would like to see the Oilers win. I do not want to see the Canucks win. But I'll root for the Canucks because Quinn Hughes is there, Luke and Jack's brother, who are Devils players. Just want to clarify that. See how I favor everybody who's related to Devils? Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So
just want to
those,
clarify that.
yeah, it turned out to be, like I said, this is, we say it time and time again, the hardest trophy to win, but it really is. A 3-0 lead doesn't really mean a lot, but Rangers held on. That would have been a travesty if they lost that
I would have been
series.
throwing a party. I would have thrown a party.
You gotta put your bias aside, Eli. I mean,
Listen,
we're impartial here. We want to see the best teams.
Listen,
and the Rangers were one of the best.
Okay, but if you remember, the Rangers, if they were the best team, why do they force overtime for 3 straight games? If they're the best team, they would not be forcing overtime for 3 straight games in the first opening round. They should be able to win by 5 or more points, 2 or 3 more points and goals. That's my point. If you're able to force overtime 3 straight times and have to do a comeback in game number 6, what does that tell you? Is this really the strongest team in the NHL? Yes, don't get me wrong. They have really good odds right now of winning this whole cup right now, but you got to keep those factors in mind. They forced overtime 3 straight times in the first opening games. They had to make a comeback with Carolina to win it. Just want to clarify that real quick.
Okay. I can't convince you to be impartial, apparently. So.
No, you'll not see one Devils fan root for the New York Rangers. I can tell you that much.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because, by the way, I'm a Ranger fan, but I'm from the tri-state area, and when the Devils were in their heyday and won 3 cups, I was pulling for the Devils. So I could put my impartiality aside for the.
I'll root for the Islanders. That's about it. Because the Islanders do no harm. If you see the Hudson River rivalry that happens every year, you'll understand. I mean, the matchups and what us Devils fans feel.
All right.
We get no credit here in Jersey because it all goes to New York Rangers.
They won the President's Trophy. So there goes the jinx of everybody saying, oh, whoever wins the President's Trophy gets knocked out in the first.
That's me. I'll raise my hand. I'm guilty of saying it. I will say
you're guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. 2 other notes on the NHL real quick. This year's NHL Awards will take place in Las Vegas, Fontainebleau, Las Vegas on Thursday, June 27th on ESPN. Some awards will be announced before the season concludes and before the award ceremony. And Devils interim head coach Travis Green will now coach for the Senators. So congrats to him. So now the Devils are looking for a coach. They passed on 3 fantastic options, and I can't wait to see what they do. That's just coming from a Devils fan.
Well, of course, it's in Las Vegas. So this is becoming the mecca of media for regardless of sports, right? Having the Super Bowl there now, and all of these award show. They
had the
really
Super Bowl. They had the WWE WrestleMania is going to be coming to Allegiant Stadium, home of the Raiders. That'll be pretty cool to see there. The draft lottery, I think the NHL draft's going to be at the Sphere this year. I mean, if you see what Vegas has developed over the years, it went from being just this gambling city to now this mega center for media and sports.
Right. Which is why there's going to be an NBA team there within the next 3 years.
Yes.
So.
But
anyway, so let's go on to the NBA.
All right. And then we'll go to WNBA because I have notes for that. Because if we talk about NBA, you got to do WNBA.
All right, but let's talk about the big boys here. And Boston, like we expected, has taken care of business. I think they were the best team remaining in the playoffs, so they took care of business. And now, the Knicks, they got themselves a battle, and they're dealing with a lot of injuries and so forth. We got a Game 7. I guess that's going to be Game 7 tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow? So for the West, Game 7, Timberwolves Nuggets is tomorrow 8 p.m. on TNT, and ABC will get tonight Thunder Magic Game 6, 7 if necessary will be Monday, and the Knicks game will be tomorrow 3:30 ABC from Madison Square Garden. And you talk about, I'm actually going to go see how much is a ticket to go see the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, just to bring everybody up to speed real quick.
Out of my pay range, that's for sure.
I'm sure it is, but I'm just curious because I have to know how much does it really cost to go see the New York Knicks at
I bet,
Madison Square
I
Garden?
bet even the last seat in the blue section at a Knicks game is gonna it's gonna cost you $200 just to sit up there. I'm sure.
The cheapest ticket right now to go see the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers is $618.93. Not to mention the fees.
I don't know where people are getting this kind of. I don't understand it. But this is going to be the first Game 7 Indiana and Knicks at
$10,000, most
Madison
expensive
Square
ticket.
Garden since like 1994, 95, something like that. But I think I still think the Knicks will win Game 7 at home.
They could.
But
I mean,
the Pacers give them credit. They beat them around last night.
well,
But
they did.
I'm kind of
Listen,
interested. I'm kind of more interested in the Western Conference, right? Because now we're seeing, Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They're up. They could move on. But obviously, this series between the Nuggets, so everybody panicked and said when Minnesota won the first 2 games that the Nuggets are done. Blah blah blah. We saw them answer that criticism by going and winning 2 straight in Minnesota, and now they're down. Right? They're down 3-2.
yes, they're down 3-2. Minnesota. No. My apologies. Minnesota Nuggets are Game 7 tonight. Oh no, Game 7
Game
tomorrow.
7. Yeah,
It's Game 7 tomorrow. The Thunder Magic is at Game 6.
Well, who are you taking in that game?
Well, I like the Nuggets, so I'm going to take the Nuggets, and I'm going to take the Thunder. I like the Magic, but I'll take the Thunder. So Thunder Nuggets. And as you mentioned, the West is wide open because it's not complete.
Yeah.
And that is the whole reason why. For the Knicks Pacer series, here's my thoughts on it. It's a great series. The issue is how New York played these past few games it wasn't the New York that we saw in the regular season. And I think that's going to change a lot of people's perspectives on who they're going to take for tomorrow. So I'm going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be rooting for the New York team because I'll root for the Knicks. That I could root for, not the Rangers. But I will like to see how that game plays out. Of course, it's going to be a close one, good one.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. But I just want to clarify, though. I think they already knew a Game 7 was going to happen even before the game tipped off. Because if you watch the entire game and you looked at the score bugs and everything that were at the Indiana Pacers arena where the fans sit and the desks are, it said Game 7, ABC, 3:30 p.m. You could barely see if necessary on the screen at one point. So you already knew the NBA said, it's going to be Game 7 at the Garden. They already knew in their head.
Yeah, I know. This is something
So this is like the NBA is just trying to say, is this fixed? Because it's already confirmed.
Well, I think of all of the major sports, I constantly talk to guys about these anomalies, right? Like nobody would have thought the Nuggets would go down 0-2 to the Timberwolves, even though we're seeing, the next great player in Anthony Edwards, in this league, right? But I never hear more that people question the integrity of the NBA as much as any other sport. And we were already coming off this issue with Jonte, who's the kid that got suspended for life? Conlon, right?
Yes, very good.
So again, I would not bet against Nikolai Jokic at all.
I wouldn't.
So I'm gonna stick with them. I talked about it when they were down 0-2. Told several of our loyal listeners that this is not over and it's going to Game 7. So I actually, like I told you, Eli, I'm watching a little bit more NBA than I have, even though those games are on late. Right? They're kind of late games.
Yeah, they are on late. It's going to be later than usual, but
which I don't like. Obviously.
It's more exciting. Again, it's that or the Rangers. What do you choose?
I
mean, all right. 2 other notes for the NBA real quick. Amazon is likely.
Sunday.
Yeah, Amazon is likely to get the NBA and in-season and play-in tournament games. There is still no word yet on NBC and TNT yet. The the NBA draft lottery order has been confirmed after the draft lottery show last week. Atlanta now holds the number 1 pick, Wizards at number 2, and the Rockets at number 3. So the Hawks won the right to the first pick of the NBA draft in Brooklyn this upcoming June.
Well, and if you look at the prospective top 5 draft picks, 3 of them are Europeans, right?
Yeah. I mean,
the
that's
projected number 1
everybody's
is some
better
guy
than the
from
United
France.
States.
And I
Everybody's
looked
better
at
than
the
you.
other, the non-European guys, and one of them was Billingham from Kentucky.
Right.
Who, to be quite honest, I never really viewed him as a potential top 5 pick in the draft.
No.
But that's happening. And yeah, you're right. This is changing. But the NBA draft doesn't have the allure of obviously the NFL draft and so
Well,
forth.
nothing's going to beat the NFL draft. There is no
Right.
question. The NFL is always going to dominate everything, no matter what it is. Award show, games, draft night, no matter what, NFL is going to be on top because that's just how America is. Everybody loves football more than any other sport.
Yep.
And it's true.
You're right.
They're going to beat everything. There is no question. There is no debate.
You're right. All right. So we like I said, there's horse racing, there's golf, there is NBA, there's NHL and Major League Baseball. Like I said,
Well, we got to go to
not a
WNBA
lot
first.
to talk about. Still early in the season, but look who big number 99 is starting to turn it up, right? Everyone was all worried that, he got off to this slow start, and now Aaron Judge is absolutely killing it. And I think that's going to be key to if the Yankees can keep Juan Soto, even though the Mets would offer him more money. I think he realizes that him and Judge together can win a World Series championship. So I think he loves New York. He loves the limelight, and, hitting in front of Judge doesn't do him any harm.
He loves New York. You could tell that. But may I just remind everybody, I said this time and time out on this show. It's only May. We still have tons more months to play. This is the point. Look at the Mets right now. The Mets are doing pretty bad. They're not at the pace that they usually do. But then what's going to happen? The roller coaster is going to go up, and it's going to go right back down. Same with New York Yankees. The Yankees are right now on this up trail right now, and then the roller coaster is going to come back down towards the end of the season. So right now, everybody, they're all happy there on New York Yankee side, but eventually it'll change. The tables will turn. That's my point of view here. So right now, enjoy it while you can, Yankee fans. And I'm going to say that as well. But I think it will change. It's going to change. We will not be saying what we're saying right now in few more weeks.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a 162 game season. There's nothing like it in sports. I mean, so you're right. You're seeing some surprises, early surprises, like the Guardians and the Twins went on a roll and those kind of things. But you're right. You can't predict who's going to get. If the Yankees get Garrett Cole back, then that's going to help them because they got some real promising kids in Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil. So, and Nestor Cortez. A lot of people, don't think he's a top 3 starter on the Yankees, and I kind of disagree. But he pitched a great game last night, like 8 shutout innings, and so if Judge gets hot and Soto stays hot, they have a chance. Because I told you in the beginning of the season that they didn't make any drastic changes outside of signing Soto. But that has made a big difference in the Yankees' chances.
Absolutely. There's no question.
Yeah. All right, Eli.
Let's go to WNBA first before we go to everybody else. So WNBA kicks off their season. They're at a slow pace. And Caitlin Clark, of course, she made her debut. It was pretty strong, despite what people say. I mean, I believe it was still a strong performance. Again, it's not the NBA we're saying. This is WNBA. It's women athletes. This is not exactly men athletes. They're 2 different types. They still play the same, but just want to clarify that you don't expect,
I think
top
our
numbers.
audience is astute enough to know that. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Just want to clarify that. Well, yeah. But yeah, so for Caitlin Clark
Well,
is doing
listen,
fantastic, and there's a lot to say there. A great 4 triple game today. Fever Liberty today on ABC at 1 o'clock. You have Sparks Aces, Sky Wings, and Dream Mercury, and tomorrow Storm Mystics, which is not televised, but great games today. 4 of them on national television with ABC and NBA TV.
and I wanted to listen. I get the phenomenon that had this resurgence of the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and all of these really outstanding players now in this league. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable to this level. I mean,
Yes, it will be.
or is Indiana going to sell out every single game because Caitlin Clark is playing?
Well, that's not
I
the only
just don't.
situation, Jim. If you look at the Washington Mystics, they're moving their June 6th game between the Chicago Sky and Washington to Capital One Arena, home to the Capitals and Wizards, which has 20,000 seats. Usually they would play an entertainment and sports arena with 4,200 seats. So it goes to show you, it doesn't matter if Caitlin Clark is playing with the Indiana Fever or not. The WNBA is growing and they are moving games around. And one prime example is the Mystics and Chicago Sky moving to Capital One Arena. That's your number one,
Yeah.
my number one view of it. Atlanta Dream, they're
I
moving their
get-
Fever game to State Farm Arena, 17,000 seats. There's reasons to it.
And I'm not dissing it. I just wonder if it's sustainable because we talked about it. I actually enjoyed women's college basketball the past
Right.
few years with Clark and Reese and the whole drama. And we got some random points we will bring up. And of course, that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, of course. So just to that point, I wanted to bring one thing up was Lisa Bluter from the coach of Iowa.
Right.
She lost, maybe one of the best collegiate players ever. So she retires after, I don't know, 20 some odd years.
Yes.
National championship, but she's had some good things. So I think unless another Caitlin Clark comes along, that Iowa is just kind of going to go.
It's not going to be the same
take
Iowa.
a back seat. No. Couple other things from random points, and I wanted your thoughts on this because I saw. Remember, like 5-10 years ago, NASCAR was just huge, and there were more fans. Friends of mine that I didn't even know knew anything about it were watching it, and it now seems like to me because like Brad Keselowski, he was one of the great drivers for forever. He just won his first race, over 100 tries. But I'm starting to see that this Formula One is starting to take front and center stage now over NASCAR because they're doing these Miami Grand Prix and all this kind. It was always known as kind of a European thing, but it is really gaining momentum in the United States.
Well, here's my point. I think also what helps is where it's being broadcast. We noticed that some NASCAR stuff are now movies like Peacock and some streaming service stuff. It's it's slowly declining from the major channels and moving to like USA and the little channels. So now you could say, well, that's not on. Look at Formula One. It's on ABC, ESPN. Let's sign and watch that. And to be honest, though, look at the matches. The Indy 500, for example, it's the same track every year. But you look at Formula One, it's like, wait a minute, that's where the Miami Dolphins play at the Hard Rock Stadium. Now it's like, how do they just create that from a regular road system to a Formula One race? What they're able to do is to transform something so basic as a Miami road to this Formula One race, I think changes people's and blows people's mind because it blows my mind to say, like, wait, that was once a normal street where people drive on to go to the Miami games. Now it's a race car racing area. Like it's pretty shocking.
I never really gave it. I never really gave, but we have mentioned Max Verstappen. The premier driver. We had, Lewis Hamilton for years was kind of the GOAT of Formula One, and I guess you could look at it this way. When you look at the Indianapolis, they're really going around in a circle. And I think the intrigue now is people are seeing these cars on these windy roads, and you're right, they're transforming. I think they even did one down at the Meadowlands area, Formula One race a couple of years ago.
I don't even know if they did, but I'm sure they did.
I think they did, yeah. So that's just growing. It's kind of a phenomenon. I'd love for people to comment and say whether or not I'm just completely wrong or not. But I see
But again,
NASCAR going south, and I see Formula One going
again, I think
north.
it also determines on what channel it's on. Like now, it looks
Yeah.
like they're trying to move away from TV to go to like streaming services. You know, those all factor in. We don't realize, but when it goes to streaming service, it factors in. When it leaves a major channel such as NBC, but go to USA, a smaller branch for NBC, it factors in. And that we noticed that with the Premier League soccer and all these other sports that happen and take place.
Yeah. Anyway, a couple other quick things. So
yes, and
we
then I have
mentioned
tons of notes.
Nelly Korda. Yeah, we had Nelly Korda going for a record-breaking 6th consecutive LPGA Tour win. She did not get it. That was played in New Jersey. I think it was Upper Montclair Country Club, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
But she's still kind of the Tiger Woods right now of LPGA. And here was something that was really, really strange. Some former Augusta National where the Masters has played, right? It's just like hollowed ground. The guy was stealing Masters and Augusta merchandise that was stored in warehouses. One included even Arnold Palmer's green jacket. And I mean, this has been going on for years, but it just came to light. And this guy's going to go to jail for quite a while. But
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, look at that. I mean, oof.
Like surprising though. Like, you know, how could you possibly even if you had Arnold Palmer's green jacket from his two wins at Augusta, how could you sell that? You know, how could you? Who could possibly buy that and that there not be a record of it? It just seems crazy. I mean, this was a really interesting story, and we're talking about millions of dollars worth of sports memorabilia from the most famous golf course in the world.
It's shocking. Can you believe it? I mean, you know, you don't see it happen every day.
No, you don't. A couple other quick things, and I know you got some random points too.
I got tons of it. Yep.
But how about the contract that Jared Goff just got from the Detroit Lions? Like $170 million guaranteed.
Here's where I draw the line and say, hold on 1 second. We saw that with Joe Burrow. Remember that, Jim? Joe Burrow was the highest paid NFL quarterback at one point. And what happened? Injury was not the same Joe Burrow. And how did that result? The Bengals missed the playoffs. Is this going to be the same situation with the Detroit Lions? That's my question. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal player, and I don't see anything happening. But does that factor in? Does money equal happiness and not equal the game of football and to success? That's my question.
Interesting point to think, but I mean, the kid has earned it, right? I mean, he took the Rams to the Super Bowl.
But is this gonna? He absolutely deserves it, but is it the right move? If you look again with Cincinnati, what they did, how did that result? It resulted in them missing the playoffs, Joe Burrow still being paid, and he resulted in an injury for him. Is this going to be some similar situation in Detroit? That's my point of view of it. I'm not dismissing that he doesn't deserve money,
injury,
but I just think that that's, you know, a cause too. Like, will this be a new team now?
Well, when you look at the position of quarterback, right, those guys are generally the highest paid player on the team, right?
Correct. There's no question.
The Giants made this crazy decision to pay Daniel Jones $40 million a year. And, you know, that's not working out. It's probably not going to work out in the long run. But the quarterback position, you can't anticipate injury, but they are the most important player on the team. So that's the going rate, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No question, but they're just some things to think about. That's all.
Yep. And I got one last one.
Okay.
Paul Skeens, right? This phenom pitcher, right? His #1 draft pick in Major League Baseball, has pitched 2 great games. Actually, was pitching a no-hitter into the 7th inning last night and struck out like 11 guys. He's got a high 90s sometimes hundreds, and he's consistent. So we got to keep an eye on him. But again, you and I have talked about it 100 times. When you throw that hard for that long, right? Tommy John surgery is right around the corner. So
Absolutely.
hopefully that doesn't happen for him. But, he came up with this kind of, I remember like 10 years ago, Steven Strasburg was going to be the next great Sandy Koufax, Cy Young, that kind of dominating pitcher. But I'm rooting for this kid. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have some reason to be optimistic if he turns out like we expect him to. So
that's true.
Good luck for him.
Absolutely. I'm going to give my random points. I have tons of notes. I'll start off with this. The new sports streaming service combining Fox, TNT, Warner Brothers, and ESPN Disney is now named Venue Sports. It will debut this fall. Prices are still to be announced, but this is a game changer for a combination in the media world. But that's not all. Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and Peacock will be offering a bundle through Comcast at a reduced price. So you can get a 3-for-1 combo. So everybody's just trying to pick out money and trying to make sure you get the best valued price to make sure you click on that button.
Yeah.
ESPN will be on Disney Plus by the end of 2024. Two WNBA games have already been made their debut on Disney Plus, and that's just the future for what Disney has in store. Jason Kelce is officially a member of Monday Night Countdown on ESPN. RG3, however, is out. Greg Olsen is expected to be an analyst alongside Joe Davis, demoted to the B team, following Tom Brady taking over for Greg Olsen with Kevin Burkhardt. I hate the decision, and Tom Brady will debut his broadcast out of one of the worst matchups, I think, in Week 1, Cowboys versus the Browns. How do you open up to that?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, that's just my thing. I just want to bring one quick note up real quick, though. The Dallas Cowboys have been officially eliminated from playoff contention.
Why, you don't think they're going to re-sign Dak Prescott? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't care if he stays or not. They're not making the playoffs. Look at that schedule. And it's the Dallas Cowboys. They're officially eliminated from playoff contention.
I know. And listen, being a Giants fan and whatnot, I always have a spot in my heart for the Dallas Cowboys of the 70s and with Roger Staubach and Randy White and Bob Lilly. Those were legends.
Those were the guys, yeah.
They were great. They were great.
Other notes, the Men's U.S. Open Championship will move to ABC on Sunday, September 6th. It's usually on ESPN alone, so that's pretty big from that side of things. The newest WNBA team will be named the Golden State Valkyries. Yeah.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what it is, but it's going to be for Golden State, the newest WNBA team. It'll be heading to where San Francisco is, but now it's going to be called Valkyries. All right. Interesting name.
Oh, the Valkyries.
Valkyries. There you go. Valkyries.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay. The WNBA expansion is also heading to Toronto and is expected by 2026 to happen. The Hall of Fame game is expected to move from NBC to ABC and ESPN. So the ABC and ESPN will open up football this year instead of NBC usually does that.
Well, that's a preseason game.
Doesn't matter, but just if you're interested in watching. The Giants debuted the Montreal Canadiens style throwback jerseys. How do you like that, Jim? Montreal Canadiens throwback jerseys. What are your thoughts on it?
It is so funny that you just said that, because when I first saw the picture, I said, these look like Montreal Canadian uniforms. And everyone looked at me and go, oh, I didn't think of that. I go, how could you not? They're not wearing these every week, are they?
I think it's like throwback jerseys. They may wear them for Germany. I don't know. Because they play Carolina. Okay. I don't know.
Listen, if that's what the uniform was, then that's what the uniform they got to wear. But I hope it's a one and done thing. I hope. Anyway.
And the Giants will also take part in an off-season Hard Knocks that will air on HBO. So if you're interested, check that out. Jaguars revealed plans for their new stadium that will cost $1.4 billion. It will be indoors, unlike Buffalo. It will cost $775 million by the city. Jaguars $625 million. So it's a lot on the line in terms of money in Jacksonville. They'll move to London.
And listen, you just brought up Buffalo, and I actually may go to a Bills game this year.
That's pretty good.
I've been there many times, and but they redid the stadium of like just a few years ago. And,
It's
when we were
horrible.
there, I said, this is outstanding venue. And I just can't believe that they're getting a new stadium built right next door. And, but
I
hey,
think it has to do with the snow, because at least it's partially covered, so it's less cleaning to do.
yeah, but it also has to do probably with,
More
the Rich
fans.
Stadium has been around and luxury suites and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know how it is. For Taylor Swift, of course. Monday Night Football will air on ABC every single. Will not be airing on ABC every single Monday, as normal programming will be returned following the actors' writer strike agreement. They're back to somewhat normal. Antonio Winfield Jr. becomes the highest paid defensive back in NFL history, earning a 4-year, $84 million contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Bill signed former Chiefs wide receiver Marcus Valdez-Scantling to a 1-year deal. Finally, the last story is there's petitions going up for Harrison Butker as he made a commencement speech at Catholic College. There's petitions to kick him off the team because of his comments. It's your First Amendment right to say whatever you want. If they kick him off the team, the Chiefs are the worst organization in franchise history. You cannot do that. I'm sorry. That is absolutely pathetic and dumb what they just did. And they will not be doing that. But if they do go through with it, shame on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I agree. There's no way that, his commencement address at a Catholic college was out of line one iota. He got a standing ovation from them. And you're right. This is being the First Amendment is being taken away from freedom of speech. And if he gets cut because
ridiculous.
of this, it's going to be ridiculous. You're right.
Number one, if that were to be the case, the Kansas City Chiefs will never win a Super Bowl ever again because they don't have a kicker just as good as him. And the Kansas City Chiefs will be absolutely the worst team and worse than the New England Patriots when they had their run with Tom Brady. And it'll be confirmed.
Not as long as number 15 is on the field. I'm sorry.
No, not if Taylor Swift is still there. Taylor Swift holds more power than him. Just want to clarify that.
Okay. Gotcha. I got
just want to clarify that because we all know it's the truth, Jim. We all know it's the truth.
You gotta bring Taylor Swift up every week.
She's a billionaire, and that's the Chiefs' success through her. It ain't gonna be because of Patrick Mahomes. You know that very well.
All right. Tongue in cheek. I get it. All right, Eli. So we're gonna move on to our movie recommendations this week. We got a couple of pictures, but
which is sponsored by Vital Selections. Scan the QR code now on the top of your screen above Jim's head to learn more about Vital Selections. Visit their website by scanning the QR code. They're the official sponsor for our movie pick and photos of the week.
Yeah, and you could buy it directly from the website. You could buy it on Amazon, but this is a new sponsor of the show, and it's a lot of people or the younger crowd. They're health conscious now, and this is a beetroot, powder for energy and all the good things. They've always said beets are good, but so
we'll try it out.
Yeah, I think we actually even have a picture, but we'll do. And listen, we bring up movies all the time, so I'm going to go back to a G-rated movie because I just two movies that I liked animated, and I don't really watch a lot of animated movies as much. Aladdin. And Aladdin was great because of Robin Williams, the character. The lines were great. And it's really was one of my favorites. I used to watch it 1,000 times with my kids. And the other one would be A Little Mermaid. Those are okay. So it doesn't have to be all these violent war movies every week. So those are my two movie recommendations for the week.
Those are fantastic movie recommendations, by the way. So I said The Lion King before. I said Aladdin. What is a good the Toy Story series, obviously the best. There's nothing that can be Toy Story.
That's not almost. That's more computer generated as opposed to animated. It's
Pixar, Disney, but I still think that it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Toy Story. There's gonna be Toy Story 5. I'll be the first one at that theater when it comes out.
All right.
So don't worry.
Because a lot of guys my age now have grandkids, so they're listening to the show for the sports, but now we give them something to watch
as well.
Grandkids.
I'm also yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got a couple of
Photo.
pictures. Why don't we put those
This
up?
I didn't upload the other photo, but this is the only one we have.
Okay. Well, here's the picture, and this is funny. A, do you know who that is?
I know he's from St. Joe's.
No, he's not. That's the ironic thing. That's Tyreek
What?
Hill.
Tyreek Hill?
Wearing a disguise at his football camp. And of all jerseys on the planet, he has a St. Joseph Regional High School football jersey on.
That's Tyreek Hill.
That's Tyreek Hill.
Did he age, or was that like a mask?
It's like a mask or some sort of thing, but
wow.
I thought the irony here is the St. Joe's jersey that he.
I'm looking at this. When I saw the picture, I'm like, "What is Jim sending me?" That was the first thing I thought of. and then you mentioned, I'm like, "That's Tyreek Hill." It's like, what? A green St. Joe's jersey out of all things.
That funny?
He didn't even go to St. Joe's.
Nope, I don't know where he got that from. I don't know, but that's funny. Of all of the football jerseys he can wear, he's got a St. Joe's jersey. My alma mater.
A fantastic mask choice. Like, that's all I gotta say. I mean,
yeah, no, I wouldn't.
He doesn't look like Tyreek Hill for 1 second there. Wow.
Right. Interesting picture.
Send your comments about that one because that shocked me.
Right. So listen, we got a couple of notable passings before we wrap up, and one from the world of sports first, because the other three are from the world of entertainment, if you will. But A.J. Smith was the 75-year-old. He was the former general manager of the San Diego Chargers and kind of built them into a team. They never got to the Super Bowl to win that, but he was an architect and very instrumental in, the Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers swap on draft day and so forth. So he was an outstanding general manager, always put a good team on the field. They just couldn't close the deal, but he was 75 years old. A couple other ones from the world of entertainment, and this is kind of funny. It's Roger Corman. He was, I think he was 93, if I'm not mistaken, but you may not know him, but he made what they called B movies, which I guess stands for bad movies. He was notorious for that. Never spent over $100,000 on a movie, and some of these are just so absurd, like Dino Shark and crazy silly things that nobody really ever watched, but he made a name for himself in that genre, if you will, right? Wow. And also musician David Sanborn. He was a sax player that played with the Stones and David Bowie. If you know Young Americans by David Bowie, that song, that solo is David Sanborn. He was outstanding on his own, but he was also, instrumental in playing with many of the top bands, of all time. So he was 78 years old.
I have a couple.
And one other one. This is from the world of entertainment, and this was always one of my favorite actors. Dabney Coleman was 93. And if you saw he was in 1,000 movies, but one of my favorite roles that he played was in 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton and Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda.
Iconic song. Yeah.
Right. So you saw the movie, but he played the crazy boss, and he was just a funny actor. He was great in everything he did, and that's a big loss for us. And as a matter of fact, my little brother Steve just sent me a text this morning in case I didn't hear about it, but I did, and I was like, he was one of my favorite guys. So
wow. There's two notable passings.
We always close with those again.
We have two notable passings.
Not to end on a sad note, but to
There's
give
two
homage.
notable passings that was not mentioned. I'll bring up real quick. Ron Ellis, a former Maple Leaf. He was born in 1945. He just died.
Yes, you're right. Good catch.
And finally, former NHL referee Bill Friday, 1993, died yesterday. So two people from the NHL that Jim did not pick up.
Okay, that's why Eli picks me up, and But welcome back, Eli, and again, everybody, thank you.
It's almost 1 year since I'm on the show, officially in June.
Amazing.
It's officially 1 more year. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so
I enjoyed every single moment.
we'll have to do something special for our anniversary show together. Figure something out. But
And
listen,
just
again,
for those of you
everybody,
watching on Surge Sports right now, the Gills versus PCTI game, followed by Sea Caucus, is happening now. Right now, the Gills have a 4-1 lead over the PCTI Bulldogs. So if you're watching on Surge Sports, go check out the game. That is also watching available right now on Amazon Fire TV if you're also interested in watching as well.
Okay. All 5 people will be tuning in after the show.
All righty. Well,
all right, but again, everybody, thank you for the listenership. We're growing week by week, and things are really going well for us.
Yes.
And getting the sponsors now.
And one plug real quick, 12th Witcher Podcast, the show that I do with Jack and I, will be live this Monday to break down the NFC schedule, and on Thursday to break down the AFC schedule. So if you're interested in learning and breaking down everything else, check it out. It's on Surge Sports YouTube on Monday and Thursday this week. So check it out.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Good job. All right, Eli, listen, enjoy the crazy weekend of sports that we have lined up. And
we got to break it all down next week.
Yeah, but send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com, and we will see you guys same time next week. Welcome back,
Have
Eli.
a good one. Thank you. Have a good one, everyone.
All right.